The Pleroma in the Odes of Solomon. Welcome to Pleroma Pathways, apocalyptic and mystic Christianity, where we explore esoteric and apocalyptic texts. The Odes of Solomon, a collection of early Christian hymns composed in Syriac, offer rich and mystical language that often resonates with the concept of the Pleroma. In Valentinian thought, the Pleroma is the fullness of divine attributes manifesting corporally through Aeons, and the Odes express this idea through the use of Syriac terms for fullness, perfection, and completion. This essay explores the manifold dimensions of the Pleroma in the Odes, from its theological, redemptive, and spatial meanings to its embodiment in gnosis and divine nature. The Pleroma and the divine nature. At the heart of the Odes is the affirmation of the divine fullness and incorruptibility of God. Ode 7:7 declares, "The Father of knowledge is the word of knowledge, for he it is who is incorrupt, the perfection of the worlds and their Father." This parallel of perfection with incorruptibility identifies God as the Pleroma, the unbounded fullness of all being. Similarly, in Ode 7:13, we read that God has widened and lengthened his way and brought it to complete perfection, showing the unfolding of divine intention through gnosis. Ode 17:7 affirms this again. "He who knew and exalted me is the Most High in all his perfection." In Ode 16:17, this perfection is participatory, and by their portion one from another, they complete the beauty of God. The divine beauty is completed or made manifest through unity and sharing among the faithful, a corporate dimension of the Pleroma. The Pleroma and gnosis, knowledge, gnosis, is central to the understanding of divine fullness in the Odes. The word logos, of knowledge, is not just divine speech, but also a transmission of divine essence. Ode 23:4 exhorts, "Walk in the knowledge of the Lord, and you will know the grace of the Lord generously, both for his exaltation and for the perfection of his knowledge." The Syriac term rendered perfection of his knowledge can also be translated as pleroma of his gnosis, tying divine knowledge directly to divine fullness. Ode 7:13 also says, "For towards knowledge he has set his way and brought it to complete perfection, linking the divine path to the gnosis of God, a gnosis that occupies and fills the Pleroma." Thus, the Pleroma is not only the nature of God, but also the medium through which gnosis is imparted. The Pleroma as a spatial reality. The Pleroma is not merely abstract, it has a spatial dimension. Ode 26:7 says, "Even from the crest of the summits and unto their extremity is his perfection." The divine perfection, God's fullness, spans from height to extremity, suggesting a metaphysical geography. Ode 36:2 deepens this idea, "And made me stand on my feet in the height of the Lord, before his perfection and his glory." Here, the worshiper stands in the height, before the Pleroma, echoing Philo's notion that God is a place, who contains all but is contained by nothing. De Somnius for Zai 63-64. The Pleroma thus becomes both a state and a place, the divine space of glory and fullness. The Pleroma and redemption. The fullness of God is not static but redemptive. Ode 9:4 proclaims, "For in the will of the Lord is your life, and his purpose is eternal life, and your perfection is incorruptible." The Syriac term here translated, "your perfection," has rich meaning, implying consecration, maturity, and wholeness. As scholars note, it also reflects the Hebrew thumim, used in the priestly context, 33:8. This incorruptible perfection is parallel to eternal life, and is received from the one who filleth all in all, Eph 1:23. Ode 19:5 continues the theme using maternal imagery. "Then she gave the mixture to the generation without their knowing, and those who have received it are in the perfection of the right hand." Just as divine milk nourishes the newborn, the Pleroma nourishes and redeems the generation without their full comprehension, conveying consecration and restoration. The Pleroma and fruitfulness. The Pleroma is also expressed in imagery of fruitfulness and completion. Ode 1 begins, "Your fruits are full and complete, they are full of your salvation." Ode 11:23 adds, "There is nothing in paradise which is barren, but everything is filled with fruit." This fullness of fruit aligns with the Pleroma as generative and sustaining. It also recalls Gnostic imagery, the joint fruit of the Pleroma, and Sophia, mother of all living creatures, who brings forth life from the fullness. The Odes, while not explicitly naming Sophia, allude to a feminine principle of divine nurture, especially in Ode 19:3, "Because his breasts were full," and Ode 11:2. He uncovered my inward being towards him and filled me with his love. The Pleroma as union with the divine. Finally, the Pleroma is imparted to the believer. Ode 36:6 states, "And he anointed me with his perfection, and I became one of those who are near him." To be near God is to be immersed in his Pleroma. In this divine fullness, the worshiper is transformed, not merely in understanding, but in essence. The believer partakes of the divine nature, cf. 2 Peter 1:4, and stands within the Pleroma of the Most High. Conclusion. In the Odes of Solomon, the Pleroma is not merely a metaphysical concept, but a lived reality. It is the incorruptible perfection of God, the fullness of divine knowledge, the spatial realm of glory, the redemptive essence imparted through divine nurture, and the goal of the believer's journey. The Odes articulate a theology of fullness, God as the one who fills all things with himself, who anoints the faithful with his own perfection, and whose knowledge is the path to eternal life.